we have a wonderful track record in Polk County of sports success, both at the amateur and at the professional level. We're going to take a little bit of an inside look at the amateur level today, and it's really kind of exciting.
Oh, it's phenomenal. We talk about this all the time, and before we get too far, big thank you to Hollywood Window Tinting and Signs, the sponsor of this segment of Sports Central. But really, athletics in Polk County has always been the bread and butter, and there's so much to be excited about when it comes to the history of Polk County and this past year, as well as moving forward in the future. But really so many as far as state champions and athletes and all the above. It really is a great place to play sports.
Well, we're on the edge, on the verge of hosting our 25th, 24th maybe, year of the Polk County All Sports Awards and Hall of Fame. June 8th, that will be held live at the RP Funding Center, and that's going to be an exciting time. But that segues beautifully into our very first special guest of the show, and that's Mr. Dan Talbot, the athletic director of Polk County School Board and the school system, I guess, lack of a better way to put it. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Always great to be here.
Well, you were named the 2021 Bernie Little Sports Executive of the Year, and the namesake Bernie Little, of course, has won so many unlimited hydroplane races and was an icon in the sport for years and years and years, and it's only appropriate that you're kind of stepping in now and elected the Executive of the Year. What does that mean for you?
It's a great honor for, especially the year we've been through, but, I can't accept the award alone. When I found out that I won that honor, the first thing I thought of was how much thanks that we owe to our custodians, to our bus drivers, to the food service people. Because people didn't realize how challenging this year was. Normally a school bus drops off the kids, runs by the school, picks up the athletes, take them to their event. Well, this year they had to stop and sanitize the bus to make sure the athletes were getting on a safe, clean bus. The food service workers had to prepare meals in a different way. The custodians at the school, when the student athletes left the locker room, they cleaned the locker room, make sure it was safe, clean the weight room. So it's really an honor for myself, but all the coaches and the custodians and the secretaries that had to change buses, make changes, because we had a lot of cancellations this year. So I think it's really a culminating award for everybody that had their hand in the Polk County athletics this year to get us to where we are today. And we got all our sports seasons in, and that was probably our main objective. And a year ago, we didn't know what was going to happen, and to finish sports season and then to be as successful as we have on top of that is fantastic. But I want to thank all the coaches and the administrators, and our superintendent has been, unbelievably supportive. And so it's a great honor that I get to accept, but I need people to know that it's an award that we all can be proud of, and everybody that touches, a student athlete in the Polk County public school system, that this award is also for them as well.
Yeah, it's truly a testament to the cohesion and the teamwork all throughout Polk County, from even outside of the public school system, because you all have charter schools or private schools, and they all intermix and play each other, and it really took a team effort from everyone really to make that happen. And I know earlier in the year you sat down with us and told us about sitting down, and you have a stacked an entire plan that you guys are going to have to develop and implement. It was a tough job.
It is, and it's one of those situations where things come down from the top, but his plan is only as good as the people that follow it. So thank you to the coaches and the athletic directors that took the plan and had input in the plan, which I think is so important, because I didn't want to put everything that we did as our part of our COVID plan was vetted through the athletic directors at the school and the coaches, because I didn't want to do something that says we can't do this. There's no way. So I had coaches on the committee that we vetted this, and we did, try to pick the best possible solutions to make our student athletes the safest. And obviously, like anybody else, we had hiccups, but we did not cancel sports, and we finished. And seniors got their senior year, which was important to us. And and simple things like making senior night the first game of the year. We learned that last year when we had to cancel spring sports, and that was our biggest complaint, is they didn't get their senior night. So we did them first this year to make sure we got them in, because we took for granted always playing a full season. So I think it woke up our eyes to some important things, and I think we're slowly, hopefully, coming out of the pandemic. But I know that if another pandemic comes our way, we'll be more prepared how to handle it, and should be able to keep going forward. So we're excited.
Well, there's nothing like experience being a great teacher. And experience, well, I guess in some ways, it didn't play in Bartow's favor this year. That was really the anomaly in Polk County sports this year. Bartow, for the first time in 30 years, didn't have Polk County didn't have a team, excuse me, not just Bartow, didn't have a team going to the state finals in softball. I mean, that was like a freak accident almost.
Yes, we had 3 teams in the regional finals, one step away, and it was just one of those nights where if it all could go wrong, it did. I mean, look at the pitcher at Bartow. I mean, she's unbelievable. She's only a freshman, so we're excited. And Auburndale had a great year, and Lake Region's always there. And you take for granted when you have 3 or 4 teams playing in the regional finals that someone's going to get there, because we're used to something always being there. And on that Friday night, I'll never like, they lost, we lost. It was like, so, but the coaches were upset. We wanted to get there, but then when you sit back and look and you take everything in, and you think about the pandemic, the fact that we got all the games in and we got to play is probably the most important thing. I mean, yes, I know the student athletes are upset, wanted to get to that next level, but when you have something to compare it to, which was a year before, you look at things through a different lens. So we're just excited that we got them in, and we'll give them a year grace, and hopefully we'll get back there next year. So.
Absolutely. Now, we talked about it a little bit too, but this year you all did play full seasons, and Polk County did see that usual success they always see. Multiple state champions. I mean, we had the usual Bartow cheer. Now Lakeland cheer is elevated to that, and now Bartow basketball going back to repeat. It seemed like even through everything, that perseverance was there, and they still came out to play and won.
Well, that was my biggest fear. Is fall is always interesting with cross country and golf, and we had some great performances in the fall. But the one thing that scared me is you have Lakeland cheer and Bartow cheerleading, Lake Gibson wrestling, Bartow boys basketball, who all won state championships the previous year, and then here I am on the cuffs of Christmas break going, I got to slow this thing down. I gotta stop sports for 2 weeks. And of course, when I did it, it was not very popular at the time, but I just had a feeling if we stopped for 2 weeks and paused, let the virus run through our sports teams that had it, because it was spreading pretty rapidly amongst our sports teams, and we hit the reset button right when we got back from January, the whole time I was saying is please let Bartow boys basketball win, please let Bartow cheer win, please let everyone that we projected to win, and they did, which was exciting. I think the only one that came up short was George Jenkins cheer. They were runner-up, but that was my biggest fear, is getting the finger pointed at you is costing someone a state championship. But it worked out perfect, and we couldn't be happier. And I think it's funny, because all the coaches that were they wanted my job in December were like, it was the smartest thing you could have done. I didn't like it at the time, but looking back, it was the smartest thing we could have done. So.
Well, a lot of successes last year and this year. But heading into 21-22, what does that future look like?
That's the $1 million question. Everybody wants to know, are we going to have masks, not have masks, temperature checks? And I'm fortunate enough where unfortunately we're losing Miss Bird, who's been an unbelievable supporter of Polk County athletics since the day she got on board, and we're going to miss her, and we look forward to our new beginning with Mr. Hyde, our new superintendent, and I'm going to sit down with him next week, and we're going to start looking at the protocols and talking with Scott from the health department. It's always the same question and answer. If things continue the way they are, we should have little to none restrictions next year. But it's just always that thing where you're trying to, people want to know now, but a lot of things can happen between now and then that could change that. So you're very reluctant to come out and say no temperature checks, no masks for athletes next year. or that could change, because you don't want something to say that something you said in May come bite you in August. So we're just going to look at all the data and make a sound decision. But we feel confident and we're pretty good.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of interesting too. The CDC continues to change its position on things. Spraying stuff down in the billions and billions of dollars that were spent on disinfecting and this and that and whatnot. Of course, the COVID virus isn't alive. It's it's DNA, RNA surrounded by fatty stuff.
Yeah.
And so on April 5th, they came out and said, well, you can't, zero chance of picking up COVID from a hard surface. So a lot of the protocol that was in place last year, now, well, it's not necessary. So that hopefully will change things.
And we sprayed everything down every time. The buses, the benches, the weight equipment, the bars.
Yep.
But we didn't know as much as we know now.
No.
And I think, like you said earlier, the experience that we have, and it's interesting because when we shut down last year, our numbers were way worse now, and we played right through it.
Yeah.
But that unknown is what scared us. But now that we're gaining more information, like anything else, the experience, as you touched on earlier, we're better prepared to handle another situation like this and navigate through this. And we need to be diligent in washing our hands. We've always should have washed our hands and used hand sanitizers, and I think that brought it to the forefront. I don't see us wanting to get rid of the hand sanitizer, because I think it's just good for the cold and flu season in a normal
It's
year.
just plain good hygiene.
Yeah.
Wash your hands, brush your teeth. There's a lot of good. Take a bath.
A lot of those things we want to keep in place, because they're just things you should do anyway. So,
Yeah. Well, that sounds great. I think that, as we look at the future, we talked about protocol and so on. However, the talent that you have in place now, talent that's coming back, I think it's going to be pretty good
excited.
situation. We're sitting here again next year. We're going to be going, wow.
Oh, I agree.
That's my read on it. Hopefully you agree.
Well, first time in a while we're sitting here, everyone's anxious about Lake Gibson football, and usually it's Lakeland. So Lake Gibson's, hopefully going to have a great year, and Lakeland obviously will be in the hunt as well. And then Bartow coming off an undefeated season, and the opening of the new high school with Davenport, and it's going to be exciting. And the turf field going in at Mulberry High School. So we got a lot of things going on. We're excited for a great summer and looking forward to fall of 21.
Sounds great. Well, Dan, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate not only the look back, but the look forward as well. You've done an unbelievable job and very deserving of the Bernie Little Sports Executive of the Year. We're going to see you June 8th at the RP Funding Center. And if you'd like more information about the All Sports Awards and Hall of Fame, we're just about at capacity now. But I think there's still, Sam, a couple of seats remaining. But we'll see you then, and congratulations. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.